It's Monday night. We got the latest updates on injured Georgia Bulldogs. This is the UGA Football Injury Report. I'm Ryan Curley from Dawg. Thank you for tuning in with us. Hey, look, Georgia missed some key guys on Saturday against Georgia Tech. And look, I think that they viewed it as a good opportunity to get right. Let's get some rest. Let's get some of our really, really, really important players some rest and not even worry about putting them out against Georgia Tech, because guess what? Georgia is that much better than Georgia Tech, and they had the luxury of doing that no matter what they'll say. I think they had the luxury of resting guys even if they didn't really have to on Saturday against the Yellow Jackets, and we saw Brock Bowers didn't play. We saw that McConkey didn't play. Tate Ratledge, Rah Thomas, and then obviously, some of the more long-term injuries with Julian Humphrey and Jamon Dumas-Johnson. Georgia missing guys at the wrong time, right? Heading into this colossal SEC championship matchup against Alabama, it really does feel like a winner. It's not go home because there will be a bowl game, but it's winner don't make the college football playoff. I think that the college football playoff is on stake this weekend in Atlanta. The chances, Alabama is out if they lose, but if Georgia loses, it's not 100%, but I think it's not a guarantee that the committee would keep them in the top four if they lost to the Crimson Tide. So what did Kirby Smart have to say on, the combination of Sunday and Monday? If you're not familiar, and I don't really know why you would be, to be honest, but there is an SEC coaches teleconference the Sunday leading into the SEC championship game. So yesterday, Kirby Smart got on there, Nick Saban got on there, and of course, Kirby's asked about injuries and Bowers and all that good stuff. So what did Kirby Smart say on both Sunday and Monday in regards to Georgia football injuries? Real quick, right before I get to that, I'm linking the newsletter. Down below. Make sure you're signing up for that. Make sure you're getting on our mailing list if you want to be an elite Georgia fan. You want to be elite at getting better. Get better with our newsletter that will push out free, premium, inside, everything that we're putting out on the website is getting pushed out to you in your inbox every single day if you click the link in our description down below and type in your email address. Thank you for letting me get that out. Bowers. Let's start with Brock Bowers. That's what everyone wants to hear about anyway. He dressed out against Georgia Tech. Look, you know the deal. Tightrope ankle surgery. He has that the Monday following the Vanderbilt game in which he injured his ankle, and he comes back in 25, 26 days, something like that. He comes back in a record time almost from his injury and plays against Ole Miss. He comes back for the Ole Miss game, so he only misses... oh my God, I blanked. He only missed the Missouri game and the Florida game, and that was it. Am I blanking on a game that he missed other than the half of the Vanderbilt game? Regardless, he comes back against Ole Miss. He gets a touchdown. He plays against Tennessee. He gets a touchdown. He's obviously not 100%. There's soreness to be expected. And then he's dressed out for Georgia Tech and doesn't play. To me, that was precautionary. This is what Kirby said on Sunday. Excuse me. This is what Kirby said on Sunday. As far as last night, Brock was probably the closest of being able to go of those guys, and those are the guys I mentioned earlier. Just didn't feel as good as he had. He was a little sore. We wanted to be able to use him situationally, see what he could do if he felt comfortable with it. Just didn't think he could go. Nothing about who we're going to play or anything else. I personally don't buy that part. He's got to be able to compete at the highest level and be able to feel good about what he's doing. We didn't feel that he had that last night. That is what Kirby Smart said on Sunday about Brock Bowers not playing on Saturday. And look, that could be totally true. Maybe they really just thought that, he's not 100%. We shouldn't let him go. Well, I don't think he's been 100% since this entire thing. They sit him out. They rest him for Georgia Tech. I fully expect Brock Bowers to be out there against Alabama. I wouldn't be worried about that. I'd be pretty shocked if that guy doesn't suit up against the Alabama Crimson Tide. We know that they need him. They need Brock Bowers. This is going to be a big game, and he's, the best player in the country, one of the best, if not the best, football player in the country. Moving on, McConkey, another really important offensive weapon. He did not play against Tennessee, and he did not play against Georgia Tech on Saturday. Did not even dress out. He did not dress out against Georgia Tech. He was on the sidelines. The thing with Ladd, deals with the back all year, and then he tweaks the ankle against Ole Miss. I believe he tweaked it on him, the play where he did score that touchdown where Carson Beck roped that into him. You can tell he was gimpy. He comes back in the Ole Miss game and makes impact plays after that. But then We find out the following week, the week leading into the Tennessee game, he didn't even practice. Didn't practice at all. And he doesn't play against Tennessee, a game that I'm sure Lad McConkey really wanted to play in. And then this past week, he doesn't play against Georgia Tech. Kirby Smart called it a day-to-day situation. Man, we're getting a little tired of this day-to-day and week-to-week stuff with Lad McConkey as far as but that's what it's been. I think it truly has been that situation for him, whether you talk about the back or the ankle. I think Lad McConkey has been day-to-day this year. I mean, it really has been. How do you feel today, Lad McConkey? How do you feel, Lad? I think it really has been that type of situation. Will he play against the Alabama Crimson Tide is the real question, and there's no answer to that right now. I think the answer is yes. I think that it wasn't a super severe ankle injury, or otherwise I feel like we'd kind of know about that by now. And I think that 2 weeks, I've dealt with my fair share of those types of injuries. 2 weeks off is probably enough to have him suit up against the Crimson Tide. And he's a guy that's made plays against Alabama. You think about 2 years ago in the SEC Championship, he had a pretty spectacular touchdown reception, a longer one, 30, 40 yards. Is about what he had against Alabama in the SEC Championship game in 2021. But he's a guy that hasn't been out there a lot this year. But when he has, he's been extremely impactful, and he matters a lot for this Georgia team. And, hey, Dylan Bell has really stepped up these last 2 weeks in his absence. Dylan Bell has had a larger impact on this offense, and he's been their true utility guy when you think about how earlier in the year when Milton and Edwards were really banged up, they had to use Dylan Bell as a running back a little bit more, and now you're seeing him just get involved in all sorts of ways, and I think he's huge. If Lad McConkey can't go, expect Dylan Bell to have another impact on this game. Tate Ratledge, he banged knees with someone against blanking Tennessee up in Knoxville. Man, it's hard to keep up with some of this stuff sometimes. He gets hurt up in Tennessee in the first half. I believe it was the first quarter. It was the first quarter that he got hurt against the Vols. He apparently banged knees with someone. That hurts. I think he's dealing with some bruises and some pain. And he didn't return to that game. And they said after that Tennessee game, Kirby said that he couldn't have returned. He said that Tate Ratledge was not good to go coming back in. Well, he ends up dressed out against Georgia Tech and does not play. So similar situation to Brock Bowers. This is what Kirby said about that. Tate Ratledge, he may have could have played, but he wasn't 100%. We're hopeful to get him back. I love how vague that was. But if Tate Ratledge is dressing out against the Yellow Jackets, I would imagine at the very minimum he'd be dressed out against Alabama. They've got plenty of guards. Let's be real. As good as Tate Ratledge is, Georgia's got a lot of guards between Michael Morris and Xavier Truss and Dylan Fairchild. There are plenty of guys that can play guard on this team, but there's a reason why Ratledge is a starter. Moving on to Ra Thomas, he gets hurt against Tennessee as well. He did not, same deal as Tate Ratledge, but he was not dressed out the way that Bowers and Ratledge were against Georgia Tech. And same deal, he said the same, I think it's a similar injury to Lad McConkey, and Smart had a similar comment, day to day. That's what Kirby said about those two guys, Ra Thomas and Lad McConkey, those wide receivers being day to day. Jamon Dumas-Johnson, Kirby Smart was pushed back. He gets pushed back on that today because Pop broke his arm against Missouri, and it's been a few weeks now since we've seen him out there on the field, and Kirby Smart would not budge. Week to week is all he'd say. We're trying to get those guys back. Week to week. That's all he would say. I would doubt that he plays on Saturday against Alabama. I watched the linebackers pretty closely in warm-ups on Saturday on the field, and just didn't seem like he was close. I obviously, when you're just hanging out on the sideline, it's hard to tell anyway, and especially when it's an arm. But it was all hidden. I couldn't see what the deal was. He's hidden behind this giant coat. It's cold outside. So with Jamon Dumas-Johnson, C.J. Allen's been in his place. C.J. Allen's been pretty good. Now C.J. Allen has his flaws, and he is a freshman, and Jamon Dumas-Johnson has his flaws as well. And I think those come in coverage for the most part, and I think those are things that will be improved as C.J. Allen gets better. He was lucky that Haynes King didn't expose him on Saturday for 1 touchdown. Just an example, I'm nitpicking, obviously, with C.J. Allen there. Julian Humphrey, let's move on to him. He's been kind of the cornerback 3 for Georgia this season, and at times the cornerback 2 when he rotates with Dalen Everett. He has an upper body injury. Against Ole Miss, that injury happened for him the week after Jamon Dumas-Johnson got hurt. Same thing with, first of all, we don't even know the exact injury with Julian Humphrey. It could be a collarbone, it could be a shoulder. I think it was somewhere up here. Could have been an arm, but that hasn't been really specified to us, and how they're handling it hasn't been specified. It's just the same thing, that he is week to week, along with Jamon Dumas-Johnson. Those are the updates for this week's injuries. I would imagine, I don't know about Ra. I don't. Questionable on Ladd. I think he'll play. Bowers will be out there. I'd be shocked if he wasn't out there. And Ratledge, I think, would be out there as well. My take there. Georgia Injury Report. Thanks for sticking in. Thanks for tuning in.